Today, I'm gonna show all the tricks that I've learned to help your Instagram Reels get results like this. Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. You spend hours on a video, you're convinced this thing is a certified banger. You go to export it, you upload it, you check a few days later, and the thing still only has like 500 views. Me too, we all have. It sucks. Like many, I thought I was blacklisted, or I was shadow banned, or oh Jesus. Like everybody else, I was convinced I was blacklisted, or I was shadow banned, or that there was a little sad man at the Instagram offices that was hitting a suppress button on my content that was not allowing my greatness to be shared with the world. After all, you can only convince your client so many times that this particular piece just didn't hit the algorithm, it hit it on a bad day. I put a massive amount of time looking into my analytics and sort of reverse engineering some of the videos that had been successful on my page. I put a lot of those lessons to work. I failed, I tried again, I learned a lot more, and I finally think I found a formula to create more engaging Instagram content. Tip number 1, the hook. My analytics make it pretty clear that I have 3 seconds to get my viewer engaged. On my reels that are super successful, that engagement stays high. On the ones that don't end up hitting, that engagement goes down right at 3 seconds, but I always seem to have their attention for the first 3 seconds. That first 3 seconds is absolutely vital. It sort of determines if they're gonna watch the rest of your reel or if they're gonna scroll up to something else. I find that my most successful videos are when I engage personally with the audience for the first 3 seconds. Now, sometimes that just means I'll pose a question like, what is the best sounding GT3 car? Other times that means I'll show my face and me doing my work and they have a bit of a face to connect with. In one of my more recent examples, I sort of used a trendy narrative. I said something along the lines of POV, you stayed up for 24 hours shooting a sports car race. I didn't show my face. I like to mix it up a little bit. I tried something different and I pointed the camera at my shadow and I waved to the audience. I know it seems kind of silly, but those couple tricks together engaged 80% of my audience to watch past that 3-second mark, which takes me to tip number 2, the wow factor. I consider the 3 to 6 second mark as a bit of a payoff. I've hooked them, I've engaged them in those first 3 seconds, but now it's time to pay that off and show a little bit about what I'm doing. A lot of times for me, that means a really cool clip or a bit of a cool sequence in that 3 to 6 second range. Using that same POV example as before, I went into a bit of a fast-paced, hectic pit lane sequence, and I transitioned from that to the on-track stuff with a bit of a start line, sort of really cars zooming by really fast, good audio, good engaging audio. And then I went into the first 3 clips of my reel, which were very like one car going one way, switching to the other way, switching to the other way, like really unpredictable, sort of fast paced and hectic, because that's what racing is, right? So that's what I was trying to make, something really fast paced and hectic. And all that brings me to tip number 3, transitions. Now, like I said, about 80% of my viewers are still watching at this point, right? I've convinced them that this is worth watching, but now it's time to give them something that they can engage with. Now, for me, that's usually finding clips that work together in terms of color or shapes or motion. Now, in this example, the transition I decided to use was a day to night transition, sort of pointing at the Ferris wheel in the International Horseshoe at Daytona. Now, I got a little bit lucky here because the Heart of Racing Aston Martin took a very similar line in this corner in both the daytime and the nighttime, and it made a already pretty cool shot, really having a little bit extra in that wow factor. Now, as a proof of concept or to show my math a little bit here, most of the comments on this reel on Instagram were about this Ferris wheel transition. Now, they only made it to this transition because I did tips number 1 and 2 correctly. You can have the coolest transition in the world, but if people don't make it until that part of your video, nobody will ever see it. Now, tip number 4 is to be concise. Attention spans continue to get shorter and shorter, and that's why I try to keep all of my reels either at or under 15 seconds. And for reference, my average 15-second reel has about 15 to 20 clips, so I'm moving through those things pretty fast. I do get a lot of people that send me their work on Instagram and they ask me to review it. And one of the main things that I see is the clips are just too long. It's hard to have a 2-second clip in an edit and that be engaging, right? If you're doing a 2-second establishing shot, people have already scrolled off. Tip number 5, and this is an important one if you want growth. Use trending audio. Before I start a new reel, I'll find a piece of audio I like that's trending. I'll bring that into my editor. I'll edit everything to that track just like I would normally. But when I go to post it, I'll tag and link that trending audio. I'll drag that down to level 1. I'll keep my original mix, which has that same audio track in it, at level 100. It tags the music creator, which any content creator should already be conscious of, but it also keeps me on that piece of audio's trending page. Tip number 6, distribution. Before Instagram will push your content out to new people, it'll first push it out to your existing followers. To find out when those best times to post, I'll go to my dashboard, I'll find the days my existing followers are already on the app, I'll find the times that they're already on the app, and I'll try to post maybe at the front side or an hour before those popular times. This ensures a good initial reaction and engagement to your existing followers that'll help Instagram push it out to new ones. Tip number 7, consistency is key. Instagram rewards consistency, and I've A/B tested that several times now. That doesn't mean you need to post 5 times a week, but you do need to stay consistent, right? I post maybe once or twice a week, but I stay active on the app, I respond to messages, I respond to comments. And if growth is your target, don't be afraid to reuse pieces that you had already used in previous edits. If you have a cool transition and you only use it in one reel, only the people and viewers that saw that reel will ever see that transition, right? Nobody's gonna scroll through your feed and look for all your past stuff. So put those pieces back to work, put them in new reels and maybe a new spin on it, and it'll expose it to even more followers. And my final tip, tip number 8, is don't give up. If you're changing the type of content your audience is gonna see, it's gonna take Instagram time to learn that. So if you've traditionally posted photos, right, and that's all you've ever posted, and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna get in the reel game. I'm gonna make a tutorial piece on how I edited this photo. And for the first time you push that out. Your existing followers did not follow you and are not used to seeing that type of content. So Instagram is gonna have to relearn what you're making and then push that out to people that would be likely to engage with that type of content. But while that process is happening, it's really easy to get discouraged and give up. Don't do that, stick with it. And that's everything I've learned so far. I feel like I put my 10,000 hours in on this. I've worked really hard over the last 6 months to sort of figure out how to make my own content grow, how to make the content of my clients grow. And I really do feel like these couple pieces are the little boxes that I needed to tick for Instagram to be like, you know what, okay, we're gonna push this kind of stuff out to more people. When this video comes out, I will be in the Middle East in Qatar for the first round of the World Endurance Championship. So if you're interested in sort of what a day in the life of a motorsport videographer looks like, feel free to follow me over on Instagram. Please like the video and subscribe. That's the only sort of metric I have that motivates me to continue making content like this. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.